Hello boys and girls, welcome to the last English class of this term. Turn with me to page number 45 of your Learning Ladders textbook. We're looking at unit number 9 and the title of the story is An Uncomfortable Bed. This is a very funny story written by the 19th century French author called Guy de Maupassant. I know the spelling of his name doesn't look like how it's pronounced, but this is a French name. So this is how we pronounce it. Guy de Maupassant. Let's dive right into the story. One autumn, I went to stay with some friends in a chateau in Picardy for the hunting season. The narrator of the story is meeting up with some of his friends at a chateau. A chateau is an old French castle. This chateau they are going to is situated in Picardy. That is a place that is close to Paris in France. My friends were fond of playing practical jokes, as all my friends are. I do not care to know any other sort of people. So he is saying that all his friends are pranksters. They are good at playing some pranks or practical jokes on people. And he doesn't have any other friends who wouldn't do this. When I arrived, they gave me a princely reception, which at once aroused distrust in my breast. So when the narrator reached the chateau, his friends who were already there gave him a very princely reception, a reception that is suiting a prince, a very royal reception. But that made him very uncomfortable. He started doubting the intention behind such a warm welcome. He started to think that they are going to play a prank on him. I said to myself, "Look out, old ferret, they have something in preparation for you." During dinner, the mirth was excessive, far too great in fact. The celebration at that place was just too much. Everybody seemed to be in their best of moods and everyone was enjoying themselves. I thought, here are people who take a double share of amusement and apparently without reason. So the narrator is thinking to himself, something is wrong here. People seem to be enjoying themselves too much. They must be planning something against me. They must be planning to play a trick on me so that they can have fun at my expense. So he is very alert and vigilant, and he is beginning to notice everything everybody is saying, everything everybody is doing, so that he will not be caught at unawares. During the entire evening, everyone laughed in an exaggerated fashion. What is the meaning of exaggerated? Seeming to be more than what it really is. Too much of something. I smelt a practical joke in the air, as a dog smells game. Game meaning something to eat. Have you been around a dog that smells something that he would like to eat? Yes, that is how alert he was when he was around his friends. He was always doubting that they were up to something. Finally, it was time for them to go to bed. So the narrator went into his apartment, the room that was allotted for him, and all his friends escorted him to the room. That also aroused in him a sense of distrust. Why are they all following me? Maybe something is planned inside my room. I heard laughter and whispering in the corridor. He went inside, closed the door behind him. He could still hear people whispering and laughing in the corridor. Without doubt, they were spying on me. He thought they are all spying on him through the keyhole of the door. He looked around at the walls, furniture, the ceiling, hangings and the floor. So he took a good look at the room. He looked at everything that was possibly there in that room. I saw nothing to justify suspicion. There was nothing that was looking very suspicious. I heard people moving about outside my door. I had no doubt they were looking through the keyhole. An idea came to my head. My candle may suddenly go out and leave me in darkness. So he was holding a candle and he understood that it is going to go out any time. So he went to the mantelpiece. Mantelpiece is something that looks like this. It's usually having a fireplace beneath it, and there would be some space for us to keep candles over there. So this is something that you would see in old castles. And like we know, the narrator has gone to a chateau, a French castle. So he found all these candles on the mantelpiece. He lit all of them so that he will not be in the dark. Then he started inspecting everything in the room, every article, one after the other. Still nothing. He could not find anything that was meant for some prank. He went over to the window. The shutters, large wooden shutters, were open. The shutters of the window were open. He shut them with great care and then drew the curtains. Drew the curtains meaning closed all the curtains. And these curtains were heavy velvet and enormous or very big. Then he placed a chair in front of the curtains so as to have nothing to fear from without, so that he doesn't have to fear anything from outside. Then he cautiously sat down. The armchair was solid, so there was nothing suspicious about the armchair also. I did not venture or start to get into the bed. He was still very scared to get into the bed. However, time was flying. I ended by coming to the conclusion that I was being ridiculous. I was being silly. I was being afraid for nothing. I was convinced of that. Who is I? The narrator. If they were spying on me, I supposed they must, while waiting for the success of the joke they had been preparing for me, have been laughing enormously at my terror. So he was convinced that if his friends were spying on him, looking at him through the keyhole of the door, they must be having a good time laughing at how afraid he was even to get into the bed. So he decided to be brave now. I pulled at the curtains. They seemed to be secure. All the same, there was danger. I was perhaps going to receive a cold shower bath from overhead. He was imagining all this in his head. Maybe if I get into the bed, there would be a cold shower bath that would erupt from overhead and I would be drenched in water. Or perhaps the moment I stretched myself out to find myself sinking under the floor with my mattress. Again, he was imagining, if I get into the bed, maybe the mattress will sink to the floor and I will just plop to the floor. I searched in my memory for all the practical jokes of which I ever had experience. He started thinking about all the pranks his friends have ever played on him so that he would have a clue if they were planning something this time. He didn't want to be fooled. Then I suddenly bethought myself of a precaution. Bethought meaning come to think of something. He suddenly thought of a precaution which I consider one of extreme efficacy. Efficacy means effectiveness. So he thought of a very effective precaution or a measure that he can take in advance to avoid any danger. I caught hold of the side of the mattress gingerly, very carefully. He caught hold of one side of the mattress. Then he pulled the mattress out and all the bedclothes, the sheets, the blanket, whatever was on the bed, everything came off. And he put the bed on the floor and made the bed again so that he doesn't have to climb on to the bed. Why was he not getting into the bed? Because he was scared that the friends had planned some practical joke on him. He wanted to escape that. For some time he was wide awake. You would know that. If you are scared of something, of course you cannot fall asleep very fast. The same thing happened to the narrator as well. He was lying on his bed on the floor for some time, and at some point he just fell asleep. And you know what happened? I must have been in a deep sleep for a long time, but all of a sudden I was awakened with a start by the fall of a heavy body tumbling right on top of my own body, and at the same time I received on my face, on my neck and on my chest a burning liquid which made me utter a howl of pain. So at some point he was awakened with a start. He got up with a startle because something heavy fell on him. It felt like another body falling on him. Not only that, some burning liquid also fell on his face, his neck and on his chest, and he was in so much pain. He howled, he screamed out of pain, and a dreadful noise as if a sideboard laden with plates and dishes had fallen down penetrated my ears. A sharp, shrill noise pierced his ears. What was that noise about? As if some plates were falling down. I felt myself suffocating under the weight that was crushing me and preventing me from moving. So whatever fell on him was suffocating him. It was a heavy thing and it was crushing him and he could not even move. I stretched out my hand to find out what was the nature of this object. So he wanted to feel. It was all dark. It was in the night, right? So he started to feel what had just fallen on him. I felt a face, a nose and whiskers. Whiskers, those hair on top of your lips. Could it be an animal that fell on him? Then with all my strength, I launched out a blow over this face. So he drew all his strength and punched that object that had fallen on him on its face. But immediately I received a hail of cuffing. So I received a few slaps, which made me jump straight out of the soaked sheets and rush in my nightshirt into the corridor, the door of which I found open. He punched this object with all his might, and in return he got a few slaps or cuffings. And what happened? He ran out of his bed, and his sheet and the bed were all soaked in some hot liquid. And he ran out of his room and he found that the door was open and he found himself in the corridor. Oh stupor, it was broad daylight. To his utter shock, he found out that it was already morning. It was broad daylight outside the room. The noise brought my friends hurrying into the apartment, and we found sprawling over my improvised bed a dismayed valet who, while bringing me my morning cup of tea, had tripped over this obstacle in the middle of the floor and fallen on his stomach, spilling, in spite of himself, my breakfast over my face. That was a long sentence. Well, what does it mean? There was a loud noise and he ran out of his apartment or his room, and he was standing at the corridor. At that time, all his friends heard this loud noise and they all rushed to the corridor. And then he realized what had happened. What had happened? The valet or the butler who was at this castle had come to serve him breakfast. A valet is a manservant who would take care of all your needs when you are staying at a castle. This is a privilege that rich men had in those times. So he had come to serve him breakfast with a cup of tea. And where was the bed? The bed was on the floor, so the valet did not notice that, and he tripped over the bed and fell on top of the narrator, spilling the hot cup of tea all over him. And the valet was sitting there dismayed, looking very sad. The precautions I had taken in closing the shutters and going to sleep in the middle of the room had only brought about the interlude I had been striving to avoid. Interlude means interval or a break. So he was avoiding this interlude. He was expecting a break in the form of a prank, and he was being very cautious, and he imagined all kinds of scenarios and he was bracing himself against it. And finally, when he fell asleep and in the morning, he was greeted by a shock. Whatever he was trying to avoid came to him in a very strange manner. How they all laughed that day. You can imagine how his friends would have laughed at his foolishness. He was avoiding a certain prank and got himself into a very strange trouble. Very nice story. So you can look up the other short stories written by the same author and be familiar with his work. Let's look at the word meanings. Chateau, a large French country house or castle. Princely, meaning suiting a prince, royal. Distrust, doubt, lack of trust or confidence. Cajoled, meaning persuaded someone for something. My brother cajoled me into watching his favorite TV show. Efficacy, meaning efficiency, ability to produce a result. The medicine was known for its efficacy. Mirth, meaning celebration or amusement, fun. Bethought, came to think. Gingerly, in a careful or cautious manner. Groping, searching blindly by feeling with hands. In the dark, when you have to feel something, you grope around. Cuffing, hitting or slapping with an open hand. This would be punch, this would be cuffing, a slap. Improvise, done or made with whatever things available around. Interlude, interval or a break. Valet, the T is silent. Valet meaning the personal male servant of a rich man. Another word for valet would be butler. Let's look at the learn words section. There are two types of compound words. One is in the closed form and the other is in the hyphenated form. Closed form would not have any space or hyphen in between. It would be two words coming together to form a compound word, and a hyphenated compound word would have one or more hyphens in it. A set of compound words have been given in this exercise and you have to make sentences of your own. Let's look at one. Make up. Make and up, two different words coming together to form a compound word. Let's make a sentence out of it. She applied some makeup on her face. Like this, there are 7 more compound words that are given there. Make sentences of your own using these words. The next section is homonyms. Homonyms are words that have the same spelling or pronunciation but different meanings. They look the same, as in they will have the same spelling or pronunciation. They may sound the same but they will have different meanings. Look at the list of words given below and write down their homonyms and meanings of both the words. Number 1, heir. In this word, H is silent. Heir. Heir is somebody who inherits the wealth from their father or grandfather or from someone. Something that sounds like air, H-E-I-R, would be air, A-I-R. You know the meaning of air. Air around us is composed of different gases. Right. Number 2, piece. This piece, P-I-E-C-E, means a piece of cake, a portion of something. What is the other word that sounds the same? Yes, peace, P-E-A-C-E. We have to work towards peace in this world. Number 3, horse, H-O-R-S-E. That is the animal horse. There's another horse that sounds the same but spelt differently and means different. That is H-O-A-R-S-E, which means not smooth. He had a hoarse voice. Number 4, mail, M-A-I-L. This is where you get messages or letters. I want to check my mailbox. The other word that sounds the same but means differently would be M-A-L-E. That is the homonym for this word male. M-A-L-E, to mean a man or a boy. Number 5, nun, N-U-N. This is a nun in the convent. The other nun would be N-O-N-E. None of them came for the party. Number 6, check. This is let me check with a doctor. The other one is C-H-E-Q-U-E, check. He wrote me a check. Number 7, site, S-I-T-E. This is to mean the construction site. What is the other site? S-I-G-H-T, which is to do with your eyes and your vision. It was a good sight for me to see my son all dressed up. Number 8, heard, H-E-A-R-D. This is to do with your ears and what you can hear. I heard a loud noise. What is the other word that means different but sounds the same? A homonym. H-E-R-D, herd, a herd of cattle. Number 9, find, F-I-N-E-D. I was fined for the mistake I made on the road. What is the other word that sounds the same but means different? Find, F-I-N-D. Let me find the answer. Number 10, waste, W-A-S-T-E. Don't waste your food. What is the homonym for that? W-A-I-S-T. Tell me the waist measurements so that I can get you a pair of pants that will fit you. The next section is comprehension. We have a set of questions that are based on the story. If you've understood the story, it's very easy for you to answer these questions. Let's pick one of them. What was the purpose of the visit? Where did the narrator go with his friends? The narrator went to a chateau in Picardy with his friends. What was the purpose of the visit? It was hunting season, so they wanted to get together and go for hunting. That was the purpose of the visit. Likewise, you can answer the rest of the questions as well. Let's look at the true or false section. Number 1. The narrator went to stay in a chateau in Paris. The chateau was in Picardy. This is false. Number 2. The narrator felt a practical joke was being played on him because his friends appeared very serious. False. His friends were very happy and gave him a warm welcome. They were laughing in an exaggerated fashion. That was what made him doubt that a joke would be played on him. Number 3, the whole household escorted the narrator to his room. That's true. Number 4, the narrator heard his friends laughing in the corridor. That's true. The butler fell on the narrator with the breakfast. That's the 5th one. Was it the butler that fell on him? Yes, that's true. Butler is the other word for valet. Number 6, the narrator was sleeping on a chair. No, he pulled out his mattress onto the floor and then he slept on that. So this is a false statement. We've come to the grammar section. Let's look at one tense here, simple future tense. This tense is used to describe events that have not yet happened but will happen in the near future. Simple future tense is used when we have to denote something that is going to happen in the future. Usually it comes with the word will in the sentence. Will go, will ask. Likewise. Example, I am sure that I will pass the test. Let's look at the exercise. Read the given sentences and fill in the blanks with the simple future tense forms of the given verbs. Number 1, he dash arrive here by this evening. He will arrive. You simply have to add the word will before the verb and state the verb as it is. I don't think I will be able to come. I dash come tomorrow. I will come tomorrow. Number 4, it is raining. I dash take an umbrella. I will take an umbrella. That's right. Number 5, my exams dash start from tomorrow. My exams will start from tomorrow. When you add will, you don't have to bother about whether the subject is singular or plural because the verb has to be written as such. You simply have to write will and then the verb. You dash eat all the vegetables. You will eat all the vegetables. I dash be 29 by the end of this month. I will be 29 by the end of this month. Number 8, you dash get a lot of money. You will get a lot of money. Number 9, they dash serve lunch in 10 minutes. They will serve lunch in 10 minutes. Number 10, what have you decided about your future? I dash be a lawyer. I will be a lawyer. Let's look at the next one. Complete the following sentences using simple future tense. The order of words in the sentences is jumbled. Put the words in correct order before changing the verbs into simple future. Example, go after, complete, I, homework, out to play. I will go out to play after completing my homework. This is a fun exercise that you will be able to do very easily on your own. You first have to arrange the words in the sentence in a logical order and then assume which would be in the future tense and add the simple future tense there. Learn to communicate. The first section is listening and speaking. The teacher will read out a story again in the class. Listen carefully and answer the questions that she is asking. When it comes to the writing section, we have a very interesting exercise. Write an imaginary account of a night spent in a haunted castle. You may have seen movies based on haunted castles. You may have read stories based on it. So you have to now imagine that you are staying in a haunted castle, a castle that is haunted by some spirit. Imagine a night that you're going to spend at this place. You can describe a lot of things about how the castle is looking, what time of the day it is, what kind of noises you can hear, what it makes you feel, and things like that, and write out a beautiful article. That's all for the English class for today. See you next term. Bye-bye.